After years of individual counseling with clients and conducting hundreds of workshops and intensive training programs across the country and around the world, I find that there is only one thing that seems to heal every problem, and that is to love yourself. When people start to love themselves more each day, it's amazing how their lives get better. They feel better. They often get the jobs they want. They have the money they need. Their relationships either improve or the negative ones dissolve and new ones begin. It's a very simple premise, loving yourself.
And remember, when I talk about loving yourself, I'm not talking about vanity or arrogance. That is not love. That is fear. I'm talking about just really respecting and cherishing the incredible miracle that you are. Because each one of us is someone really fabulous. When we sort of get the guidelines on how we love ourselves and we're willing to practice them consistently, it's amazing the changes we can make in our lives. You know, I'm a very simple lady, and I have very simple guidelines for life. And for some people, they're far too simplistic. They think that's just ridiculous. But over and over again, I've seen people try them and practice them, and it's amazing how they work. So if you want to love yourself, then I suggest you start with these 10 steps that I've put together. The number one thing is to stop all criticism. Stop criticizing yourself now and forevermore. Never again. Make a vow to yourself, I'm not going to do this anymore. You have been criticizing yourself for years and years, and you're still criticizing yourself for the same stuff you were criticizing yourself for before. So it seems that it doesn't work. So why don't we try another tactic? Let's come from a place of being okay as you are, and you can make changes. I remember what a revelation it was to me when I discovered that I could make changes in my life without being a bad person. I didn't have to be bad and then change. I could be okay and just change. Criticism never changes a thing. So refuse to criticize yourself and accept yourself exactly as you are. Remember, everybody changes, everybody. But when you criticize yourself, your changes automatically become negative. You get into negative changes. And when you approve of yourself, it's amazing how your changes are positive. Our ability to change and adapt and flow with the process of life is our healing power. That's our healing power. We are powerful beings, and our power lies in the choice of thoughts that we think and the words that we use. Because our thoughts are creative. They create our experiences. They contribute to everything we do in life. So you do choose the thoughts you think. So choose thoughts that are nurturing to you. Choose thoughts that are uplifting, that are supporting of you. If you really want to love yourself, it's essential that you stop criticizing yourself now and forevermore. Absolutely. All right, number 2, don't scare yourself. Please, if you love yourself, don't scare yourself. Stop terrorizing yourself with frightful thoughts, because all you do is make any situation worse. You don't make it better. And don't take a small situation and make it into a big monster. It's a terrible way to live. You know, how often do we lie in bed at night going over and over a problem, creating the worst possible scenario? We do this for illness. We get a pain, and we're immediately planning our funeral. We do this for relationships. Someone doesn't call, and we immediately decide that we're totally unlovable and we'll never have a relationship in our life. We do this for work. You know, you hear a small remark at work, and you think, oh my God, I'm going to be fired. You know, we build these things up. So if you have a habit of thinking negative thoughts that scare you, what I find is the best thing to do is find an image of something you really like, something that you love. It could be a sport, it could be a sunset, it could be some beautiful view, it could be flowers, it could be anything. and use that as a substitute. Pick that as your image, like your switch to image. And every time the negative thought comes up, just switch to this thought or this image. If you keep doing that, you will break that habit. But it takes practice. It always takes a little practice. Number 3 is be gentle and kind and patient with yourself. You know, a good example of the power of patience is a garden. A garden is often to begin with just a patch of dirt, and then you add some seeds or some little plants, and you let the sun shine, and you water it, and you give it some loving attention. And to begin with, it seems like not much is happening. But if you continue doing that, if you're patient, things will change. The garden will grow and blossom. And if you think of your life as like a garden, you know, what kind of garden would you like? What kind of events do you want to have happen in your life? And what kind of seeds do you need to plant in order for those to happen? So you select the seeds, you select the thoughts that will contribute to creating the garden of experiences that you want. And I like to think of planting these thoughts in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, where they get nurtured and then can grow. And if you pay attention to them, if you take care of them, then one of these days you'll reap a wonderful, bountiful, and beautiful harvest of all the things you want. Now, I realize that some of you have been working on yourself for a very long time. So some of the things I'm going to say tonight might just reinforce for you what you already know. And a few of you may be just beginning on your pathway of self-discovery. And some of the things I may say tonight might sound ridiculous, or you may resist them a lot. But remember, the resistance is part of the process of making the changes. So as you learn these new ways of thinking, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, and be patient with yourself as you plant the new thoughts in your mind. Now watch for the weeds. The weeds are like the old negative thoughts, and pluck them out as quickly as you can. Remove those negative thoughts as soon as you see them. And you know, it's okay to make mistakes while you're learning. You don't have to immediately be perfect. So many of us are cursed with perfectionism, and we won't give ourselves a chance to really learn anything new, because if we don't do it perfectly in the first 3 minutes, we again assume we're not good enough. But anything you're going to learn is going to take time. You know, you can get up in the morning and say, I really want to love you more today than I did yesterday. And if you make that statement, the universe will hear you and find out ways to do that. Okay, number 4, be kind to your mind. You know, self-hatred is really only hating thoughts you have about yourself. That's it, all it is. And you don't want to hate yourself for having thoughts. You gently want to change those thoughts. Change your thinking. You know, you are worth loving. All of us are. We do not have to earn love. You see, you don't have to earn the right to breathe. You have the right to breathe freely and fully because you exist. And you have the right to be loved because you exist. That's all you have to do. We are lovable because we exist. And we must remember that every thought we think and every word we speak is an affirmation. And far too often, they are negative, and we're not aware that the words and the thoughts shaping our future and our experiences. So doing affirmations is one of the best ways to be kind to your mind, because you create definite positive statements that build you up instead of beat you up. You can also learn the difference between responsibility and blame. Don't get into this, oh, I'm having this negative experience, therefore I must be a bad person routine. That's a terrible thing to do. Responsibility is making a conscious choice of how you will respond to a situation or to an idea. What sort of thoughts will you choose? You have an experience. Okay, how can you learn from this experience? Or what can you learn from this experience? You know, Dr. Bernie Siegel says in his new book, Peace, Love, and Healing, that people who have so-called terminal illnesses and defy the statistical odds against them all share something. They have an acceptance of responsibility for decisions affecting their lives. They don't blame themselves, but they do accept responsibility. See, blame is making yourself wrong for having certain thoughts or for having certain experiences. But blame creates guilt, and guilt always seeks punishment, and punishment creates pain. So being kind to yourself means stopping all blame, all guilt, all punishment, and all pain. Respond to yourself and to life in a loving way. Okay, number 5, praise yourself. Criticism breaks down the inner spirit and praise builds it up. So praise yourself as much as you can. Tell yourself how well you're doing with every little thing. Many of us refuse to put any effort into creating a good life for ourselves because we feel we don't deserve it. And you know, when you think about deserving, there's a few questions I'd like to ask you about this to help you deserve the good that's in the universe. What is it you feel you deserve? Do you deserve love and joy and all good? Or do you feel deep down that you deserve nothing? Why? Where did that message come from? And are you willing to let it go? What are you willing to put in its place? What different message would you put there? Because remember, these negative messages, something that says you don't deserve or you're not worthy, that's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. What were the laws about deserving in your home? What did they tell you you don't deserve? Now, do you really feel you deserve? Do you feel good enough, smart enough, tall enough, pretty enough, bright enough, whatever? What belief is in the way of your deserving? All right, number 6 is support yourself. Find ways to support yourself. Reach out to friends and allow them to help you. It really is being strong to ask for help when you need it, instead of trying to do it all yourself and then being angry at yourself because you can't make it. And there's so many ways, you know, friends can help you. There are support groups everywhere. And if you can't find what you want, you could even start your own. Start your own support group. How do you start a support group? You know, you can just gather 2 or 3 friends that have the same issues that you have and follow a few guidelines. If you do it with love in your heart, your little group will grow. It's amazing. People will be attracted like a magnet. And don't worry, if you have a little group and it starts to grow, don't worry about where you're going to meet, because the universe will always find a space. Okay, number 7, be loving to your negatives. You created every single negative pattern, every negative habit, everything you have in your life to fulfill a need. The good news is that you always have choice. You can choose again. And you can always choose to let go of the old pattern, and you can choose a different, a more supportive and nourishing thought. Letting go of the old negative pattern with love allows you to move into the new positive patterns with ease. It just makes it so much easier. But punishing yourself, you know, with thoughts like, I hate my job, I hate this illness, or I hate this relationship, or whatever, keeps you tied to what you hate, and it doesn't allow anything new and different to come into your life. See, if you run around saying, I hate my job, then the universe gets this message, oh, hates job. So if you get a new job, I guarantee you'll hate your job very shortly, because that's the message that you've put out. Our thoughts and our words are very powerful. And remember, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what negative situation you have right now, you are never wrong. You're never wrong. You're always doing the best you can until you find a better way to handle situations. I love what Dr. John Harrison says in his book, Love Your Disease. He says, it's essential that the patient is congratulated on having worked out a way to get their needs met in as safe a way as possible for them. The patient is never condemned for having multiple operations or illnesses. In fact, quite the opposite, they are congratulated. We have to understand that whatever we have in our life, we have contributed to it because it's our way of handling situations. And to be angry at ourselves because such and such is going on doesn't make any changes. It doesn't make positive changes. What we have to do is fulfill those needs in a much more positive way. Okay, number 8 on how to love yourself. Take care of your body. It's the house you live in. When you're born, you move into this house, and when you leave the planet, you move out of it. So love the house that you live in and take care of it. You can find exercise that you enjoy, something that's fun to do. And then watch what you put into your body. Drug abuse is so prevalent on the planet, and it's become one of the most popular methods of escape. We take drugs to escape ourselves and our feelings. And it all begins, again, with not loving ourselves and not appreciating who we are. We take those childhood feelings of not being good enough, and then we try to wipe them out. So we want to know that it's safe for us to feel our feelings. That's okay. Part of loving ourselves is feeling our feelings and acknowledging them. You know, they pass through, they don't stay. Food, we use food. Food really is a fuel for our bodies to help create new cells and to give us good energy. And even though some of us may know the basics of good nutrition, we still often use diet and food to punish ourselves. It's another way. We stuff ourselves or stuff our feelings. We create obesity, we create health crises in our lives. You know, if you eat lunch and an hour later you start going to sleep, you might ask yourself, what did I eat? Maybe there's something that isn't good for my body at this point in time and space. So start noticing what gives you good energy and what doesn't, what tears you down. So taking good care of our bodies is an act of loving ourselves. And then there is mirror work, one that I love so much. I have seen so many people change their lives by merely looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. You know, at first it may seem untrue or even weird, and it can bring up sadness or anger or fear. But if we continue to do this simple affirmation every time we're in front of a mirror, our inner energy begins to shift. Letting go of destructive thoughts and behaviors and accepting ourselves as naturally lovable becomes so much easier. There are several ways you can practice mirror work. I like first thing in the morning, just looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. What can I do for you today to make you happy? And then listen to what you hear and start following through. You may not get any messages to begin with because you may be so used to beating yourself up that you don't know how to respond to a kind, loving thought. If something unpleasant happens, immediately run to the mirror and say, I love you anyway. Because you want to realize that events come and go, but the love that you have for yourself is constant, and it's the most important thing in your life. Not the experience of the moment, but the fact that you love yourself. If something wonderful happens, run to the mirror and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Acknowledge yourself for having created that wonderful thing. But I think the last thing you always want to say when you do any mirror work is that what you really want is their love and approval. Because that's what we all want. We all want love and approval from wherever we are, so that everybody gives that to us. And the more we give it, the more we're going to get it. And at least once a day, you know, look in your eyes and say, I love you. I really, really love you. I love you. And as for loving yourself, you know, do it now. Don't wait till you get well, or you lose the weight, or you get the new job or the newer relationship. Do it now and do the best you can. You see, if you're dissatisfied with yourself now, and you think, oh, well, I will love myself when, I get the new job, or I lose the weight, or I have a new relationship. Believe me, you'll lose the weight, you'll get the new job, you'll have the new relationship, and you'll still be dissatisfied with yourself. Because the dissatisfaction with yourself is a habit pattern. If you can be satisfied with yourself now, if you can love and approve of yourself now, then when the good comes into your life, when the new things come in, you'll really be able to enjoy it. You'll really have a wonderful time. So don't wait. And once you've learned to love and accept yourself exactly as you are, then you can begin to learn to love and accept other people as they are. See, we can't change other people. Stop trying to change other people. Leave them alone. I mean, all that energy that we spend into trying to make other people different, if we used half of that energy, we could make ourselves different. And when we're different, our whole life will change.